So in the first video I made on this channel, I talked about my reasoning for leaving the United States, what I was trying to accomplish. And long story short, the sort of liberty movement, libertarians in general, were sort of in an awkward place because we had just had the second Ron Paul movement, and awareness of the ideas and the existence of libertarians and libertarianism had really skyrocketed, and we had these online connections and communities. But I didn't see anywhere to go from there. That online presence sort of outlived its usefulness. So I mentioned back then that the next step was that we needed to get offline, and not necessarily get offline, but at least in addition to that, create online, real world communities rather. Off the internet, in the real world, physical communities. So, things like the Free State Project, I mean, I'm not that big of a fan, but it's at least a step in the right direction. And that's the reason it attracted me to something like Fort Galt, and any project like that piqued my interest because it was physical communities. Like, that was the next step. Now, the ultimate version of that, or the inevitable conclusion, or the ideal scenario, would end with seasteading. And if you're not familiar with what that is, essentially it's just the idea of looking at the ocean as a new frontier, and you just build floating cities. Floating cities and communities, and then that's a way to experiment with new forms of governance and basically permanent living or residency on the ocean. So I viewed it as something that was at least possible in my lifetime. I figured this is something that probably will happen, or at least begin, or definitely could begin within my lifetime. The thing is, the world has descended into a sort of just insane authoritarianism that even I didn't see coming. Like, I left the United States in 2014 because of how bad I thought things were getting. And back then I never even would have imagined the level of absolute insanity that basically literal 1984 life that is being imposed on people in so many countries. But the thing is, the thing that accelerated this descent into overnight communism has also accelerated the seasteading timeline. So not only is it something that was going to happen in my lifetime, but it's something that's actually beginning now. That window of opportunities to start seasteading, to actually start doing it, it's open right now. It just got thrown open. And to tell you how that happened, there's a couple named Chad and Nadia, and they, if you don't know who they are, they were the ones floating in a sort of little seapod house off the coast of Thailand somewhere. And then they were told by the Thai government, some people in the Thai government, that it was good to go, but then others found out and wanted to murder them, so they sent the Thai Navy after them, and it was this whole dramatic thing. But they escaped that, and the thing that happened recently is that the COVID nonsense, which is what has galvanized all of this authoritarian nonsense and the lockdowns and so forth, also kind of destroyed the cruise line industry, or at the very least destroyed some companies. So they were able to pick up a cruise ship for scrap prices. This just happened recently. In fact, probably lower than scrap prices. So right now you can buy a cabin in a cruise ship like a condo. And what this means is some seasteaders got a hold of a cruise ship, and that's all you need to start seasteading. It's already a city or a town ready to go. Before all of this, it would still be, it would take like Peter Thiel money to actually buy a cruise ship and get this going. But they were able to pick it up for like basement bargain prices. So it's already here. We already got one. And you only need like one, or I mean, if this trend continues and more become available, I mean, you could have two, three, a handful of these cruise ships, or even one is enough to just start a floating society like right now. And that it's a perfect base of operations to go ahead and start building, like, you know, floating sea pods or platforms or whatever else you need to build up a population of like an actual floating city. So it's already here, guys. Like the ultimate version of libertarians and freedom-minded people creating a society that is outside the jurisdiction of any particular government. It's already here. That frontier just opened up. So it's honestly pretty exciting. And if you look at, they're auctioning rooms right now. Like, you can just buy one right now. And it's like, looking at the prices, it looks like you can pick up a cabin for like 50 to 100 grand. And I mean, yeah, that's a lot of money, but I mean, that's nothing to actually own a cabin on a cruise ship. A cruise ship typically costs like $500 million. You know, but for the prices they picked them up for, 50 to 100 grand, I mean, that's like a condo anywhere. But this is on a cruise ship. So, I mean, if I were in a position to buy one right now, I absolutely would. You know, if this opportunity is still here when I do have that kind of money, I'll be buying in for sure. But it's here. It's not like, if you're in a position to do it, like, I would encourage you to. Seasteading is already here. So it's great news to me, and I just think everybody needs to know about that if you haven't heard. So that's been my public service announcement for today. And I think I'll leave a link in the description to check out their website. But yep, Seasteading is here. It's good news, guys.